Hi, everyone, and welcome to the certification webinar brought to you by Brainspring. We're so glad that you could join us today. My name is Katie Hodgkins, and I'm the Director of Instruction here at Brainspring.
And my name is Jacquie Moreno, and I am the Certification and Instruction Specialist at Brainspring.
So we are going to get started. A reminder about the agenda today. This is an hour-long presentation. 45 to 50 minutes of this presentation will be our general presentation, and then we are going to leave about 10 to 15 minutes at the end for Q&A. We did receive some questions ahead of time that we'll be able to answer, and then when it is time for Q&A, you can put those questions in the chat, but please refrain from asking questions until the very end. Chances are your questions will be answered in this presentation. Another thing to keep in mind, and just for your best viewing options, we do recommend that you set up your screen so that you can see a side-by-side view. And by doing this, you'll need to click on the top where it says View Options. You'll select Side-by-Side View, and then find our video here and pin our video. So where it says Brainspring Basics Webinar Series, that's us. You'll want to pin us so that you'll be able to see side-by-side view. So before we get into all of the certification requirements, we think it's really important to go over a few key terms. So one of them that we get a lot of questions about is accreditation. So accreditation is granted to programs through accrediting bodies. And the accrediting bodies that exist, there are three main accrediting bodies. We have the IDA, which is the International Dyslexia Association, IMSLEC, which is the International Multisensory Structured Language Education Council, and also AOGPE, which is the Academy of Orion-Gillingham Practitioners and Educators. So those accrediting bodies review individual programs in their multisensory structured language approach or structured literacy. So they review individual programs for those programs that apply for accreditation. And then after they have reviewed those programs, either they are granted that accreditation or not. But those programs must be scientifically research-based and teach these methods with fidelity. So individuals who are certified, which we're going to get further into, but individuals who are certified under their program that they were trained, it's if their program was accredited through those governing bodies. So the other term that we think is really important for everyone to understand is Orion-Gillingham. That term is used frequently, but we want to explain that Orion-Gillingham is not a program. Orion-Gillingham is just a methodology. It's a methodology to teach students how to read. So it's not a company, it's not a trademark term. Anybody can use that methodology. So that's why it's so important to go through certification and go through training with programs that are accredited, because those governing bodies are looking over our shoulder to make sure we're doing that methodology with fidelity.
So what is Brainspring certification? Brainspring courses are accredited at the teaching level and at the instructor of teaching level by the International Dyslexia Association, IDA, and the International Multisensory Structured Language Education Council, IMSLEC. Being certified in a program that meets these national standards of certification in teaching reading and language arts using multisensory structured language instruction it ensures consistency and exceptional quality of instruction. Those who are certified with an IDA or IMSLC accredited program demonstrate their understanding and the application of this instructional method through coursework participation, written and practical exams, and through a supervised practicum. Certification at the teaching level indicates expertise in instructing students using our Phonics First and Structures program. It does not certify an individual to instruct others to teach Phonics First or Structures courses, as that would require further requirements. So there are many certification programs out there to choose from. So what is the difference between Brainspring certification and other certification programs? When you're certified through Brainspring, you receive a Brainspring Orion-Gillingham Dyslexia Specialist certificate. This certification is specific to our Brainspring programs. It certifies individuals in teaching our Phonics First and Structures programs. Our programs are Orion-Gillingham based programs. So when you become certified, you are certified in an Orion-Gillingham based program. There is no process for becoming certified in just Orion-Gillingham, as Orion-Gillingham is a teaching approach. However, you can become certified in an Orion-Gillingham based program. Our program is also doubly accredited by the IDA and IMSLC. So when you receive certification, you're receiving certification in a doubly accredited program. Once you receive Brainspring certification, you're eligible to apply for 2 additional certifications. You can apply for the Structured Literacy Dyslexia Interventionist certification through CERI, the Center for Effective Reading Instruction. And you can also apply for the Certified Academic Language Practitioner certification through ALTA, the Academic Language Therapy Association. These 2 certifications are separate from the Brainspring certification. Each of them has their own application process and exams that you would complete, but being certified in Brainspring's certification program does make you eligible to go on and receive those additional certifications. Other certification programs may also be accredited programs, and they may be accredited through other organizations. With the different programs, there's going to be a variety between the specific instructional processes that are used. All of the Orion-Gillingham accredited programs do need to meet the standard instructional principles that are universal between all the accrediting organizations, such as programs need to be structured, systematic, multisensory, cumulative, but from one program to another, they may use different instructional processes. For example, when we teach dictation, we teach students the strategy of pounding syllables and finger tapping sounds in order to segment those syllables and sounds before writing, where another program may have a different multisensory strategy for teaching dictation. You'll also notice that certification titles will vary from program to program. Again, our title is an Orion-Gillingham Dyslexia Specialist Certificate, while another program may have a different title.
So what are the benefits of being certified? So there are lots of different benefits, but some people always wonder, I go through this whole process and then what does it really do for me? So we've listed some of these benefits, but there are so many. Not only will you attain nationally recognized certification status, you are achieving proficiency under rigorous standards of instruction. It's going to increase your confidence and skill through a supervised practicum and expand your expertise in meeting the needs of dyslexic or students with learning disabilities. It can also enhance personal career opportunities, meaning once you become certified, you might be the expert to your school or your district, the point person to go through specifically for either the phonics first or the structures program. And a lot of times states now are passing laws that require teachers to have a certain kind of certification background. So this certification may fulfill your state requirements for those working with students with dyslexia or learning disabilities. And then, like Jackie had said before, after you've received Brainspring certification, you can go on to apply for additional credentials from CERI, the Center for Effective Reading Instruction, for your structured literacy dyslexia intervention credential, or through ALTA, and you can also get your CALP, which is your Certified Academic Language Practitioner credentials. So lots of different opportunities, and it also is going to benefit your students. So keeping that in mind, that now that you've become this expert, you are going to know how to teach students from K through 12 and be able to work with those programs and teach any student that you may come across. So they're going to very much receive those benefits as well. So who should be certified? We get a lot of questions about that. We do recommend for those who are working with the most struggling readers or students with dyslexia, we do recommend those are the teachers who are going through with certification. However, some states, like I had said before, do require this kind of level of certification in order to work with those students. So it is our recommendation, but some states now are requiring this level of certification. And really, anyone who wishes to obtain the benefits of certification can go through this process. It is not just for those working with the most struggling readers, although that is our recommendation. Anyone can really go through this process.
So what are Brainspring certification requirements? Before the certification practicum begins, there are certification practicum prerequisites that need to be completed. Certification candidates must either have a bachelor's degree or higher to obtain certification. The first course that candidates would take is one of our level 1 courses. We have our Phonics First level 1 course and also our Structures level 1 course. Depending on which grade level you teach, you would take one or the other, but you wouldn't need to take both. Only one level 1 course is required for certification. The level 1 course does need to be taken either in person or live stream to qualify for certification. At this time, our self-paced courses don't qualify for certification. When you take the level 1 course, you'll learn how to teach and implement our programs. And at the end of the course, you will receive a certificate of attendance that shows that you participated in our 30-hour course and are now trained in either the Phonics First or Structures program. This certificate indicates that you've received this training, but it does not indicate that someone is certified in our programs. In order to become certified, the remaining certification requirements would have to be completed. After completing one of the level 1 courses, there is also a written final exam that follows. Next, certification candidates would take our Brainspring level 2 course. The level 2 course is another 30-hour course. This also needs to be taken either in person or live stream to qualify for certification. During the level 2 course, participants will delve deeper into the content that was taught in level 1 and also develop a deeper understanding of teaching decoding and encoding to students with dyslexia or other learning differences. Also included in the level 2 course is instruction in teaching fluency, vocabulary, syntax, and comprehension using a multisensory approach. Even if you don't plan to complete all of the certification requirements, it is very beneficial for all teachers to take the level 2 course. Another course that's required for certification is the Brainspring Phonological Awareness Workshop. This workshop can be taken in person, live stream, or self-paced for certification. During this workshop, participants will learn how to teach the essential phonological awareness skills that are needed for students of all ages to be successful at reading and spelling. There is also an exam that will follow the phonological awareness workshop. Once all of the coursework is completed that's required for certification, then candidates will complete some practical exams. One of those exams is the pre-practicum lesson presentation. For the lesson presentation, you'll be given a student scenario and asked to plan and prepare a lesson for the student based on that scenario. You'll meet with a Brainspring instructor and present the lesson that you planned. During this meeting, candidates will also complete a sound accuracy assessment. The sound accuracy assessment includes a list of sounds that are taught in our Phonics First and Structures programs, and candidates will read through those sounds to ensure accurate pronunciation of the sounds that are taught in our programs. You can apply for certification at any time while completing all the required coursework. The coursework can be completed independently, but the written and practical exams will be completed after the application is received and after each course is completed. Once the certification prerequisites are completed, then the certification supervised practicum begins. The supervised practicum is a teaching practicum requiring certification candidates to teach individuals or small groups of students using the Phonics First and/or Structures programs. During the practicum, you'll be paired with a practicum supervisor who will work with you throughout the duration of the practicum. The groups that are included in the practicum should be small groups of about 1 to 4 students, and a maximum of 2 groups or individuals is allowed for the practicum. During the supervised practicum, candidates will submit 60 hours of Phonics First or Structures lesson plans. Your practicum supervisor will review your lesson plans and provide feedback. Also during the practicum, there's a minimum of 5 required lesson observations. You will record yourself teaching lessons to the groups in the practicum, and your practicum supervisor will review your recorded lesson and provide detailed feedback. These lesson observations must include each of the 5 lesson components. So how do you apply for Brainspring certification? There are a few required documents needed when you're submitting your certification application. The certification practicum candidate application and the certification requirements summary form, 2 items needed when applying, are sent to you when you first receive the certification guide and initial information about certification. Also required for the certification application are 2 professional letters of recommendation, a current resume, and proof of a bachelor's degree or higher. There's also a $200 application fee, which does get applied to the total certification fee once the practicum is ready to begin. The certification application can either be sent by email or by mail. You can email it to certification@brainspring.com or send it through the mail to the Brainspring Educator Academy office. So is acceptance into the practicum guaranteed when you apply? Acceptance into the certification practicum is determined by the successful completion of the written and practical exams that are required. A score of 90% or higher is required for the level 1 and the level 2 final exams. A score of 90% or higher is also required for the phonological awareness workshop exam. Certification candidates will need to meet the pre-practicum lesson presentation competencies and also score 95% or higher on the sound accuracy assessment. If these passing scores and competencies aren't met, there may be some additional requirements needed. You would still be able to pursue certification. There just may be some additional coursework or other requirements that would be needed before beginning the practicum. And also an additional fee may apply.
So how much does certification cost? And this is determined on a couple of things. There's the prerequisites that Jackie has been going over, the coursework required before applying or before starting your practicum. And then there's the cost of the practicum. So here you'll see the level 1 course. And because for certification, you can only take this course through live stream or in person. Both of those costs are listed here. And then, so you'll have to pay for those individual pieces first, those prerequisites. The phonological awareness workshop you can take through self-paced or through live stream. And then the level 2 course, again, you can take this through live stream or in person. So depending on which option you choose, it could be a different cost because the live stream course costs a little bit less than the in-person, and the self-paced is a little bit less than live stream for the phonological awareness workshop. But the practicum, no matter which courses or which options you chose for your prerequisite coursework, the practicum costs $1,300. So to give you a range, depending on from the lowest to the highest, and this includes the cost of the practicum, it could be anywhere from $3,719 to $4,199. And a lot of times too, keeping in mind these courses, that you're taking maybe the level 1 course or the level 2 course. Some of these courses you may be taking through your school or your district at no cost to you. So the practicum itself is probably the biggest piece to keep in mind, that it is $1,300. It is an investment. It's an investment on your part, but it's also an investment in yourself because of all the benefits that you can get from it.
So how long does it take to complete all of the Brainspring certification requirements? The first requirement would be the Phonics First or Structures Level 1 course. We do recommend after taking the Level 1 course that you teach Phonics First or Structures for a minimum of 3 months before taking the Level 2 course. Gaining this teaching experience and practice applying the content that was learned in Level 1 is very beneficial before taking that Level 2 course. The Level 2 course does need to be taken within 24 months of completing a Level 1 course. After you take the Brainspring Level 2 course, the supervised practicum must begin within 12 months of completing the Level 2 course. The reason for these time requirements is so that it ensures a successful practicum and making sure that candidates have all the updated current information from our Level 1 and Level 2 courses. The phonological awareness workshop can be taken at any time before the supervised practicum begins. The written and practical exams are completed after the certification application is submitted and as you attend each of the required courses. The supervised practicum could last for a minimum of 3 months or a maximum of 2 years. So there's really no exact time frame for how long it always takes to complete all these requirements. It will vary based on when you take the different courses and complete all the certification requirements. So what happens if the courses you completed are outside of those required timeframes? If courses do get completed outside of those timeframes listed, additional requirements may be necessary. Depending on when you completed your courses, you may either have to complete a Phonics First or Structures refresher course, or possibly retake a course. And an additional fee may apply depending on the requirements that are needed. If you do have questions though about when you took the courses and if you're outside of those timeframes, please email certification@brainspring.com and we'll be able to help you. You can still pursue certification even if you're outside of those timeframes. Again, there might just be some additional requirements. So if you email us, we'll be able to guide you in those additional requirements needed. So once you receive your Brainspring certification, this certificate does need to be renewed every 3 years. To renew your Brainspring Orion-Gillingham Dyslexia Specialist Certificate, you'll submit 30 hours of approved professional development within 3 years. There's also a renewal fee of $75 required to renew your certificate every 3 years. When you first receive your Brainspring certification, you will receive information regarding how to renew your certification and information regarding approved professional development that can count toward renewing your certificate. You'll also receive multiple reminder emails regarding renewing your certification to be sure that it never expires. When you are ready to apply for recertification, you'll submit our professional development form along with proof of the professional development obtained over those 3 years. And this can either be sent by email to certification@brainspring.com, or it can be mailed to the Brainspring Educator Academy office.
So before we start the Q&A portion of this presentation, I did want to let everybody know that you will be receiving a link to this recording. So in case you have missed anything, you will be able to watch this at your own pace. It is a lot of information, so you will get a follow-up email with the link to this recording. You'll also get the information on who to contact for certification. If you have additional questions or would like to receive additional information. And you'll also be receiving a document that outlines all of the upcoming courses for level 1 and level 2, in case you were wondering when those were available and when you could enroll in those. So before we open it up to everybody for questions, we did have some questions that were submitted ahead of time, and we did get quite a few, which helped us to create our presentation, and most of it was covered, but there were a few things that were great questions that were not covered. So we're going to go over those first. One of them was, are scholarships available for the cost? And as of now, there are no scholarships. We don't have scholarship opportunities, but that is something to consider in the future. But as of now, we do not have that. Another question was asked, could someone certified in this method be able to tutor online effectively or face-to-face in the most effective way to impact a student? And yes, you can do this program virtually through online and tutoring online. We do have online tutoring available through Brainspring. And there are teachers who've had to do this instruction remotely also. And for that reason, when everything hit and everybody had to do their instruction virtually, we do put information on our website in our members area on how to do these lessons in the most effective way when it is virtual, because it is multisensory, and when you're not in person, you think, oh, the multisensory piece is out, but we have a way to work around that, and we do want students to still get this kind of instruction if they're not able to be in person. So you can do that effectively, and that's a great question. And then the last question that wasn't quite covered was, is this opportunity feasible if you are retired from teaching? I thought instruction is part of the program. So if you still wanted to do the certification, you still have to do some sort of instructing. You can be retired, but maybe you want to take on tutoring and you want to tutor students. You can do it that way as well. You don't have to be in a classroom actively using this. We do have teachers and retired teachers who go through this process to get this certification, and they do it through tutoring students one-on-one. So that was a good question as well. And I think that we covered all the questions from that were submitted ahead of time. If there are any additional questions, you can go ahead and put those in the chat right now. And we'll let a couple of those come in. I'm just opening the chat to make sure I can see any of those coming in. Okay. It doesn't look like we have any questions. I just wanted to give it a second in case there was somebody typing and it was a long question. So that will end our presentation, but if you missed any pieces of this, don't worry, you will get an email with the link to the recording. And we're so happy that you joined us today, and we're excited that you're interested in this. And if there's any further questions that we can help you with, please feel free to reach out. And that contact information will be sent to you with the link. Oh, we do have a question. The curriculum director of my district is very interested in me becoming certified. How does that work with working with the district and Brainspring's guidelines? You would go through the same process that you would do through certification. It sounds like if they were interested in you becoming certified, then they would be funding your certification, and that just becomes how the payments are received. So there really wouldn't be any difference in the requirements. It's just who is paying for your certification.
Can I follow up on that really quickly?
Yeah.
So so my question is, she made it sound like she wants me to work and train teachers. How does that work? I'm currently working with Brainspring as a tutor as I'm working on my certification. So how exactly does that work? Because I would want to make sure I followed. Do they have to purchase Brainspring's materials if they're wanting me to do that? But I know they have Brainspring's instructors too. So that's why I was wondering how that all works.
Yeah, so that's a good question. So that's called our in-district instructor process. That is the process to become a instructor just for your district. So with that, there does have to be a conversation with your district about a contract in place, and they would have to pay for your certification process first, and then you would do an instructor internship, and you would then have a contract about when you conduct courses within your district and the materials that they would receive. So if you would like further information on that, we can also send that to you. Certification is a prerequisite anyway to do that. So once you're certified, then the intern instructor process to be an in-district instructor is a different process on top of that.
So I would have to go through and become an instructor with Brainspring after being certified.
It would. So if you were just doing trainings for your district, for your school, you would be considered an in-district instructor. You wouldn't you wouldn't be working for Brainspring. You would still be working for your district, but you would still have to go through the instructor process through Brainspring. Those are good questions. Okay. Just looking to see if there was anybody else. Okay. All right. If there are not any more questions, then thank you for joining us. And I hope we answered all of your questions. And if you weren't able to, again, see the whole webinar, then the recording will be sent to you, and hopefully all your questions are answered. If not, reach out with that contact information that we will be sending you. So thank you again for joining us, and I hope you have a pleasant evening.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye.